What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the RRBG podcast. My name is Eddie Torres, and with me today is the return of the homie, Lex Mincolla, 3 Teeth. Hey.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Good seeing you too, brother.
It's good to do this in person instead of over Zoom like we did during the pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic did make me switch my whole thing. I didn't even have video before the pandemic. It was just audio shit.
I remember that, yeah.
And then we also did that pilot that never saw the light of day.
We drank a ton of beer down in that brewery.
My plot now is to just tell a bunch of breweries that we're going to do this TV show.
And drink a bunch of free
just
beer.
Get free beer.
Yeah, and then never air anything. That was good. That was a smart move.
Yeah. No, it's weird. Like the owner that we met with at that episode, like he sold his part of the breweries.
Oh, really? That place was really cool. What was it called again?
Phantom Carriage.
Yeah.
It was a great brewery. It had a theater in it, and it was all like metal and goth themed. But then he sold his portion, and now I think they closed permanently. I don't think they survived the pandemic.
Yeah, it sucks. That happened to a lot of businesses.
Yeah, brother.
Everyone bites the dust.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of exciting shit going on right now.
A little bit, yeah. I think I got a couple things going on.
Yeah, your newest album just came out a few weeks ago, Endex.
Yes, Endex is out and about doing its thing. It's funny. It just like when you drop a record, it's like it just feels like it kind of came and went. It's like all the lead up is so long, and then like it's sort of like it feels like it's like the orgasm. Everyone just seems like they just go home afterwards. You're like no one talks about it. You're like, is it a thing? Is it still out there? But yeah, it came out like I guess 3 weeks ago or something like that.
Well, I mean, I guess that's why touring is so important, right? To keep it fresh in everybody's minds.
Yeah, and we got to get out there and pound some pavement, which, just based on the timing of the record, for us, it was like, it came out later in the year. I didn't really feel like going out this winter, so for us, it'll probably be top of the year touring for us.
Okay. Start the year fresh like that.
I mean, we do have a big show in LA on the 29th of December, so.
Okay. Where is that going to be at?
That'll be at the Terragram Ball.
Oh, that's right, at the Terragram. I saw the poster.
Yes.
Who's that with? Are you bringing in support acts?
Yeah, we're bringing Tim Scold, who's Manson's guitarist. He's got his band Scold.
Also
and then
MDFMK.
Yeah, KMFDM. I mean, he's just a legend. He's an awesome guy. He's just a good buddy of mine. And we're bringing out a guy, Omar Doom, his project Straight Razor. I don't know if you know Omar.
I don't think I have.
He was in Inglourious Bastards. He was the guy who was like this, Dominic DeCoco.
Oh, okay.
He's got a really cool project. He's an awesome dude. And Sean Bevan, who is sort of a collaborator of ours, mixed a bunch of our records, did some co-production work on it. Just a phenomenal guy. His band's going to open the thing. So it's a big family affair for us.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good way to close the year.
Terragram's a good spot too, nice and big, not like...
It's one of my favorite spots. It's funny. It's intimate. But I think it sounds really good. They have like an analog soundboard in there. It's all the people. It's a bunch of New York people who put it there. It's the same people who do the Bowery Ballroom in New York on the Terragram. So it's well run.
Yeah. No, I love that place. Yeah. I'm gonna hopefully be there. I think I'm going to Mexico in December, but I think I'll be back before then.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you could make it.
I'll definitely be there. The new album, dude, though, I've been listening to it nonstop. I'm a fan of you, obviously, but I'm also a fan of Doom Eternal.
Yes.
And you had Mick Gordon that worked on that Doom soundtrack. Kind of produced. At first I thought it was just one song, but it's a few songs.
Yeah, no, it's funny. The working with Mick thing was strangely serendipitous. Another, I guess, in many ways, another sort of like pandemic serendipity moment where we were in Europe. This is sort of a longer story, but you kind of got to hear it all the way through if you're going to understand.
It's a
how
podcast. We got to talk.
Yeah, so we were in Europe and we were supposed to play Milan, and this was February 2020. Like right as the pandemic was happening, where like Milan was ground zero. So the Milan show got canceled in Italy. So we took a day off in Frankfurt, Germany. And I was like, well, what are we going to do in Frankfurt, Germany? The Bethesda gaming offices in Europe are in Frankfurt. So I have a friend who's a community manager there. She invited us over to go play the new Doom video game. So we're taking a day off. We're hanging out. We're playing some Doom. I'm like, man, that soundtrack is so nasty, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we did something with Mick? She's like, really cool German girl. She's like, I'll give you his email if you don't tell anyone that I give you his email. And I was like, all right, cool. I kept it in my back pocket. Really didn't think anything of it until like fast forward when we're recording out in the desert one night, having a couple whiskeys, making some steaks, and referencing something, and I go, oh yeah, I have his email. So I like looked through my notes and found it, and I was like, yo, should I just email Mick Gordon right now? And everyone was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? He's gonna ignore the email. I sent that email, and like 10 minutes later, he responds, and he's like, May, so cool to see your name in my inbox. Big fan. Would love to do something together. And I was like, it's on. So
Amazing.
Shoot your shot, kids.
Yeah, that's how I've done almost everything in my career, which, obviously I'm not at the heights that I want to be, but I mean, I've done some stuff, and it's all through that. Like, that's how we met. It was like, hey, dude, you want to do the pod? Yeah. Boom. And we became friends. That's amazing, though, man. And it's his touch is definitely on some of those songs. Like, I could hear it, and I could see.
He's a ferocious producer, that guy. That guy's crazy talented, like on a level that, like, puts on the lab coat in the studio type of vibe, and has like crazy ideas. Like, oh, like what if we like, if we're gonna do a song called Slumpin', what if we like recorded a bunch of trash noises and then process it through this and then compressed it through that and then I do it through this, and you're like, okay, like so we're just making the drum kit out of trash, and he's like, absolutely, and we're like, all right, there you go. So he's on a different level. He's a mad genius. I will say that, sometimes when you bring a third-party producer in, which is not something we generally do, you kind of go, oh, is this going to be like the adult in the room? Right. No, he is just another crazy element of chaos that you like have to go, okay, cool, like this is a new ingredient, but it's not going to try and be like, hey, let's just try and control things. He's just a whirlwind of his own sort of rock star chaos, which is really cool.
That's dope. Did he come out to the desert, or was it all remotely?
No, we did everything. We were constantly doing. He was in lockdown as well out in Australia, and they had a pretty serious lockdown. Yeah. So it was just a constant series of just passing files around and zooming and stuff like that. So,
that's dope. Yeah. So now you've mentioned it, and I mean, you kind of journaled it in your social media, but you guys went out to the middle of fucking nowhere in the desert to do this album. Yeah. Why? First of all, where did that idea come from? You would think industrial, it would lend itself more to being more deeper into the city, actually, if just to get into the griminess. But getting out into the desert, you would expect like psychedelic, The Doors, Queens of the Stone Age, desert sessions type of vibe. Yeah. So what was the idea there to go out to the desert?
I think the idea was like we had already done 3 albums in LA, and then I'll just never forget in my apartment in Hollywood. At one point during like this sort of very middle of that sort of lockdown, the early part of it, where I like went outside and like people were like doing jumping jacks outside of their house, and I was like, wait, is this like a fucking prison yard? What's going on? I gotta get out of here. Like it just felt so weird. Like it was back when they were like, if you're driving after 10, people are like, what are you doing out here? And it was just like everything about it felt so weird to me. I'm already paranoid enough about fucking weird shit like this that I could like the anxiety was sort of palpable, and I just had this idea. I'm like, well, we just put an album in 2019. It really didn't feel like, okay, cool. Let's like write a record in LA again and like try and do it from our apartments while we send each other, even though we're like only 10 minutes away. Yeah. It just turned into like, oh, what if we just go out to the desert? And I convinced the label to just like buck up on another album with us and sort of finance a house for us to all live in there. So I managed to trick them into thinking that was a good idea. And eventually we just all moved our shit out there and just set up in this huge, amazing house, all our gear, and just actually didn't write a single thing for like 6 months because we were too busy like, building rifles and grilling and hiking and taking psychedelic drugs and just like having the best time. It did inform a great amount of, I guess, new perspective that led into the record. So I don't think that time was really waste, but it certainly wasn't like we were pressing ourselves to like write Meta War Part 2. I wanted to find something new and find new perspective. So, I was really like a lot of like, as lame as it sounds, like journaling. I was like kind of just like trying to figure out new perspective and sort of figure out where to go. And, it really came to this sense of like feeling like we were off world. We were very much so, it felt like a million miles away, 2.5 hours, felt like we were on a different planet. You know what I mean? That's the energy that the high desert has. So for us, I kind of want to take a really pulled back perspective, as if we were almost like writing from a different planet about looking back on the planet. So I think the album, as much as it's not some like, dusty country fucking, psych rock album, I think there's a spacier element to it. There is a song with acoustic guitar on it, which is not something we would probably have normally done, but I think that we were very much so informed by the vibe of the desert.
Sure.
Sitting around some campfires on acoustic, fleshing out some song ideas and going, instead of just like going, okay, we'll just take the vocals of this and just put it to some sort of tuned down crunchy thing, like let's keep the acoustic, that sounds cool, and we'll build around that. So that's where you get a song like Drift or something like that. But all in all, yeah, it was a very different time for us in our lives, kind of like psychologically as well. So I think that it's just a different record. We had so much time to explore new stuff, to try and find new like avenues in my voice, and hit stuff that like I wasn't necessarily comfortable hitting, but because we had enough time, I was like, I'll try it.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, I'm wasting time, I'm not going to try something wildly different just to throw it away. We had so much time to try stuff, which, listen, I think that's a blessing and a curse. Like, I think there's the right amount of time to have to work on something. You don't want to end up like, oh yeah, it took them 11 years to make a record.
Right, like Tool.
Yeah, like Tool. But that being said, Adam from Tool would always tell me something like, it's not good when it's done when it's good, which I think is a really valuable piece of information, where it's like it's not just about getting it done. Right. There's a happy medium there somewhere. But I think for us, this was our, it took us 3 years to make this record.
Yeah. You were out there in the desert for what, 2 years? 2 of those years?
I'm still out there mentally. I'm not even here right now. So it's all good.
I was going to ask you, how do you feel now mentally coming back to the city, seeing that the world is kind of back on track? Not on track. This fucking world is not on track ever. Yeah. But, just everybody's going out. Shows are happening,
It's cool. I like it. I miss like the hustle and the bustle a little bit. And for me, it's a grass is always greener. It's like you spend enough time out in the desert, isolated, and you kind of go, oh, like I miss a little bit of action. Spend too much time here, you go, I get the fuck out of here. So it's like for me, I like having just sort of, it's like a video game where you like unlock a different portion of the map, and now you can like fast travel there.
Right.
So for me, like I have that now, where it's like I can just use my desert getaway when I need to.
All right. How much peyote did you guys do out there?
Not peyote. Definitely LSD and mushrooms, but the peyote wasn't necessarily floating around.
All right. I don't think I've ever voluntarily done peyote.
But you just like somehow.
I think it's
like,
happened.
Hey, this cactus looks great.
Yeah, if there's situations you find yourself in. You're in a hotel room. It's 3 a.m. Yeah. Somebody pulls out a little bag. I don't know what's in there, but it's better than coffee.
Yeah, it's a peyote button. Better than coffee.
Better than coffee. Oh, man. So a lot of LSD, a lot of mushrooms. I mean, did you see anything wild out there?
We saw so much
aliens.
Weird stuff. I mean, the desert is such a strange place in general that, like, it's weird because you have like 50 miles of national park that's owned by federal land. And then right across from that, you have what is the largest marine base installation in North America, 29 Palms, which is also federal land. So a lot of times when you see weird shit, everyone just goes, oh, that's the military running an exercise. And you go, well, look like a bunch of disappearing and reappearing balls of fire in the sky that was like working in a weird sequence. We have videos of this stuff too. So yeah, there was a lot of strange things.
You should make a music video with these videos.
I know. We should do some sort of alien abduction stuff. Yeah.
That's wild though, man. I mean, I've never spent that much time in the desert. I've been out there, for a weekend or maybe like a few days, just a vacation, but never 2 years. Like I might lose it. I'm not that kind of guy.
You'd think that, but like you end up like sort of like growing back portions of your soul that you forgot you had. So like it's healthy. And
I've never had one.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we all had one. We just lose them. We unlearn them at a very young age.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm from Jersey. From shooting out of that birth canal, you're
into New Jersey.
Right into New Jersey.
Right into the armpit of America. You're right there on the turnpike, burning tires, bada bing on one side. You're good to go.
God, shithole. Anyway.
Anyways.
So I went from one shithole to another. Miami was the other shithole I went to. And
I mean, I have a Miami holds a special place in my heart.
Oh, me too.
I love Miami, but for me, Miami it's dessert.
Dessert?
It's dessert. You can't eat dessert every night.
No.
Teeth are fucking wrong. You're going to get a stomach ache. You probably get the diabetes.
Good.
But there's not a lot of nutritional value there. But it is a sweet, sweet place.
Yeah, you go for a few days, have a party time, get out of there.
It's Vegas by the sea.
Oof, that's a good way to describe it. A lot of people describe it as like L.A. Yeah. Like, oh, it's a Hispanic LA, like LA isn't Hispanic.
LA is this Hispanic LA.
But I get what they mean. You know, there's white people here. There's no white people in Miami. In fact, it's English as a second language.
Yes, until you go to Broward, at least. Like when you go up to Broward County, then it's like, oh, cool. Like it got white again in South Florida. But Miami is Planet Miami.
It's Cuba.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the album a little bit, you guys had some collabs. Obviously, Mick Gordon, but Horror. That is how you say that, right? HO9909.
Yeah. For the layman.
Yeah. You did Paralyze, which how did that come about? I mean, I think you guys played some shows together. Maybe?
Yeah, we made some 2 songs together back in, I want to say 2016 maybe, 28, I think 2018. I'm so bad with time. But we put out like an 8-inch vinyl with them and did some collab songs with them, and then we ended up touring together, living on a bus together. We're just super tight with them. Like they're like one of those projects that I don't know. Like we work well and it works easy. Some people you get in a room with and it just like flows. And we invited them to come out and stay out in the desert for us for a couple of days, and we actually recorded a bunch of stuff. Like we're sitting on all sorts of like half-finished things with them. But it was the Paralyzed song that ended up sort of like sticking to go, oh, we should put this on the record. Yeah, no, they're shout out to Edie and Gene. Love those guys. They're the best.
Yeah, I love what they do. It's different, and they've gotten kind of big. I mean,
they have like one of the best live shows I've ever seen. Like when we toured with them, it was one of those bands that like it was a co-headline, and we would like rotate who went first and who went last every other night, depending on the market. And it was one of those like tours that like you have to bring so much energy to even like compete with their show. So like. Having them out made us like way better, just because I think that their live show is so strong and just has so much energy. Edie's like doing fucking backflips. I think at one point he got completely naked and jumped in the mosh pit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
And I like that. I love entertaining like live shows for acts that don't typically sound like they have a live band element,
Yes.
Because it gets boring if it's just a sound coming out of a speaker and they're standing up there just moving around a little bit.
Totally. And like, back when we were out with them, they had a drummer, which I think is probably like the best drummer of our generation. This kid, Peter Peartsborn, he's I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's out there drumming with everyone at this point. But he was just a beast. And then they got Billy Reamer from
Dillinger.
From Dillinger, who drums for them out. So they always have an absolute beast of a drummer out with them, which I feel like is half the battle of a live show.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and even though their music doesn't go as fast or hard as like a Dillinger, for example, just having someone that can do all that shit pays off in the end for the live show. Definitely. For sure. That's awesome, man. And then you also did a cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, the Tears for Fears. You have a video, which, by the way, the video looks crazy to me. Like my eyes, I was like, you have the cowboy hat and
we were on some shit. I don't even know what was going on. That was the most casually made video ever. We had no plan for it. Yeah. I was like, yo, can we rent this 1960 Chevy Impala convertible, and I want every prop gun in the prop house, and grab all those green lasers and just come out to the desert, and we're just going to film something. And like we were just like winging it. So
nice. I was watching it last night. My wife goes, "Is that Dr. Disrespect?" I'm
yes, like, it's funny. I get that quite a bit.
It's because he wears. I think his mustache is fake.
No, I think he's got a real mustache.
Is that a real stash?
Yeah, I think
okay.
He's got a real
I was going to say, it looks fake. So does yours.
I really like that guy. I know. Till Lindemann almost ripped my mustache off my face on tour. He was convinced it was fake. Like when I first met Till, the first night we played a show together, we were in like New York. And like he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Oh, this is fake, right?" And he grabbed me by my mustache. I was like, "No, that's real." He's like, "Oh, but you dye it, right?" And I was like, "No, that's the color of my mustache." Yeah. But
I mean, it looks normal with a beard.
Yes,
it fits in, but when it's by itself, it's like, what?
It's a big black sort of, caterpillar crawling across my face.
But that cover, it came out great, and you guys have actually, now this is what, I don't know, fourth.
Yeah, we're basically a cover band.
You're basically a cover band.
We're basically a cover band.
Before this, it was the Guns Akimbo.
We did the Guns Akimbo thing, and that was interesting because we didn't get to pick those songs. Those were songs that were presented to us by the director, Jason Howden, who they said, "Oh, we have the rights to these." And in particular, it was like they had temp edited the scenes already. So like they had temp edited it to like, I think it was like Prodigy, like Smack My Bitch Up. And we were like, oh, but you want to cover Ballroom Blitz here? So like we had to speed up Ballroom Blitz to the tempo of Smack My Bitch Up.
Oh wow!
Which is why that song feels so manic and crazy.
Just it fits the vibe of the
because we had to get it to the same tempo that it was already edited at. But that's why it's a crazy scene in that movie. But no, we didn't get to pick those songs. Those were songs that were presented to us, and we just said, I think we could do these. I have also been presented other opportunities to cover songs that I go, I don't think we're going to do that.
Like what? Can you name? Like you don't have to name people, but
there was an
opportunity
opportunity to do a thing for like the Aquaman 2 soundtrack to do Born to Be Wild, and I just thought, I don't think we can make this cool. I just don't think we could. Like I don't know. Like I don't think that song works.
Yeah, I don't know. That's cool though, Aquaman 2. I mean, so how does that even happen for you guys to be getting these phone calls from like, hey,
like
Aquaman 2.
Cover songs, first of all, cover songs are like people are just like super horny for cover songs in Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? That's why like you like, oh, like this is why there's a cover of like, a Pink Floyd song and like in the vibe of like Nirvana or something. Like everything is just so
all the movie trailers.
Yeah, all the movie trailers are just a cover song in a different style to like modernize it. So I think that's where our sweet spot is. We get to just like do this like kind of weirder, darker industrial cover song that seems to hit pretty well. And then, now we're just on the radar as those guys.
Yeah, I guess. You're on the radar.
Yeah.
How did the first like how did the Guns Akimbo phone call happen? Like how did you guys get on that movie? Like
Jason Howden, the director, just hit me up on Twitter.
He just hit you up on Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's just a fan. That's cool.
Yeah, and it was like someone, I can't even remember at this point, but like whoever was supposed to do it, like they didn't like it. Oh, I actually do remember, but I'm not going to say. But they didn't like it, and then he asked us to do it. And so it was funny. We were on tour. We had one day off in Nashville. So I like asked the label to get us a studio in Nashville. And that was when we did what's the main song that we covered for that?
Spin Me Around, right?
Yeah, that's Dead or Alive. Okay. Yeah. And like we had one day off. We're exhausted. We've been on like tour for like maybe like 6 weeks or something. It was one of those long summer runs. And we had the day off and we all just got in the studio, Southern Ground Studio, which is a phenomenal space in Nashville. And we had we spent like all day just trying to like make it cool. I was like, there's no way we're going to make this cool. There's no way this is going to work. And then finally it got cool. Like it just like, we just tried to like beat it around enough to go, oh, this is actually cool. And then we just did the rest of like the editing like on the bus in like 2 days. And like that thing just came together quick. And then we sent it to them. The producers loved it. He loved it. And then they're like, you guys want to do another one? And that's when we ended up doing the second one. But that was all after our other cover that I guess was the cover that made us a band that people liked our covers, which was Pumped Up Kicks.
Right.
So the Pumped Up Kicks thing is what put us on the radar because that song has like a lot of streams. Like people really like that song, which that came about because we were flirting with the idea of doing a cover song for Metawar. And we have this like fan group online called the OMF, Operation Mindfuck. And I was like, what's a song that has like really dark lyrics, but like, has like a very sort of like bright, sort of like, unassuming sort of sound to it. And someone threw that out. I was like, this is a good idea. Like, I don't like that song, which is why it's easier to cover because you go, oh yeah, cool. I don't even like this song. We can make it better. Yeah. So that was easy for us. And, obviously that song's got some pretty menacing vibes to it, as I think it's about a school shooter. So we gave it that school shooter context sonically, and it just hit a nerve. And like next thing you know, it like had like 14 million streams. So we were like, okay, cool. This is pretty sick. And then that's when we became like, a sort of thing where people are like, oh, we should have them do covers.
So break this down for the layman, for the fans, even for myself. I don't know these details, but when you get a song that hits like a 14 million streams thing, like, is there a palpable difference in your career? Like,
I think with that, yes. Yeah. I think when you start to hit like, actual numbers, like when you break 10 million streams on a song, I think that it really shifts like doing real numbers as a band. Okay. Well, I think you just think about it. Like if 10 million people hear something, do you know what I mean? Like it's just like there's a general sense of like critical mass that starts to hit, where like people are then sharing it with other people, and it just sort of has that like point of contagion, I suppose. But
viral.
Yeah, it goes viral. I think that's the term, viral.
Yeah, no, it's that's amazing to me because people complain. You think about Spotify, like, hey, I have so many thousands of views and I got paid 10 cents.
Yes.
And yes, it pays shit to have streams. So some people like to put in their heads that like 14 million streams, it doesn't really mean anything, but that's not true because it's maybe you didn't get a huge fat paycheck from those streams, but it's word of mouth.
Yeah, no, and I have mixed feelings on that stuff because it is a double-edged sword where, maybe in the 90s, like you got paid for your music better and you sold CDs and, but like in terms of how to get your name out there, like you would have had to pound the pavement and like put up flyers and like, cut through the gatekeepers of like radio, terrestrial radio, like getting on MTV to achieve any critical mass. I think that the ability to reach a much more larger global audience through something like Spotify or streaming services is really, it's big. Like, I always feel that when I'm like, you're like, oh, we're like landing on a plane in like Latvia and like people are singing your lyrics. You're like, this is crazy. Like, how hard that must have been in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So I think there's some merit to it. It does devalue music and make it more of a marketing play for everything else in a band's career. So, it's a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, like back in the day, I mean, when I was in a band, I had to literally hound people like, here's a demo, here's the fucking flyer, please can you put this on, like mailing packages out to radio stations and labels and and whether or not they see it, who knows, it might just go in the garbage straight in trash. So
and like I do think there was something cool about like trying to find music at that time, and like learn about a cool project and
tape traders.
Yeah, and like the autonomy of like the discovery that came with it, or like having to get like beat up by your friend's older brother because you stole a CD from him. And you're like, I just wanted to hear it, man. Like there's just like a lot more character involved in it, as opposed to just being like, oh, I just heard it on a playlist or saw it on like some TikTok recommendation. But again, I think that it's certainly opened up more avenues for self-distribution in that respect. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on from Guns Akimbo, I mean, what a fitting movie!
I know. Yeah, anyway. that was fun, and the idea that it was sort of like a super strange Harry Potter, and like Harry Potter with like guns strapped to his hands. I was like, I'm in. Which is he explained to me in the movie, and I didn't see anything about it, and I was like, I'm in. I like it. You know?
Did you get to? Were there any perks? Did you get to go to the premiere? Did you meet Harry Potter?
No, not at all. The only real perk is like me and Jason Howden, the director. He did Deathgasm. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. Yeah, and he's working on a second one right now. Yeah. And I think the dude from Trivium's doing the music for it.
Nice.
So I think the only real perk is me and Jason became friends, and I like that guy. He's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, and I mean, who knows? That leads to other projects, which eventually might lead to other perks.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it gave us a certain sense of like, oh, these guys will get it done if you hire them to do something. Do you know what I mean? Because I think a big part of it is like, to hire a band to do music for a movie is like, will it actually be good, or will they even get it done in time?
Right,
so I think that like being able to just say, hey, yeah, we get it done, just sort of put us on a certain level of credibility. Yeah.
Hell yeah. And no disrespect, Daniel Radcliffe. We call you Harry Potter. You're fucked.
Forever.
You did too many of them. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You could do 5 Guns Akimbo, and we're still going to call you Harry Potter. Moving on to the other thing. Oh, I did have a question. Is there any artists that you haven't collaborated with that you want to for maybe a future project?
It's so funny. Like, there's like, I always want to do stuff that like I'm listening to, or like I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like that. Like for me, I would love to collaborate with like a straight up death metal band, because like, we're just not that, and I actually grew up listening to death metal. I'm a big death metal fan. I really like that band Frozen Soul. I think they're awesome. I think they're crushing it right now. I think the vocalist just has really awesome vocals, and I don't know. I just think that's a cool band. And it'd be cool to do something with them. I think they're on the same label as us too, so it probably wouldn't be too hard to do. But in terms of timing right now, I don't think that'll be too easy. But maybe in the future, it'd be cool to sort of slam together a really heavy thing like that, and what we do is see what comes out of it. I don't know.
I'd be into it. Yeah. I mean, you know me, I'm a big metalhead too, so that'd be dope. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know for now, you know, the album just came out. The touring cycle is probably, what, 2 years for you?
Yeah, and like we're just really focused on right now, like putting together pre-production for what the new show is going to be, and that's always like a much heavier lift than everyone thinks. Or like if you're like trying to like put together the new show, and you're
because
like,
there's visual aspects.
yeah,
You wear a costume.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, I'm like, what am I going to wear for 2 months? And
Well, are
then
you
I
doing the
finally-
whole Mr. X thing, the Lizard Man?
No, I can't tell you guys.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
You don't have clearance at that.
I don't have clearance. But yeah, like even those shows, like the idea of having to go to the back and put on a
lizard
mask.
mask.
Yeah,
that's
nuts.
hell. And I have the utmost respect for bands like Slipknot who perform in masks their entire lives. That just sounds awful to me.
Or like even like a Marilyn Manson, where like he had a fucking costume change in every song.
Yeah, for sure.
At some point in his career. In the beginning, no, but yeah, I think near the end, it was not near the end. It's not over, I guess. Is it? I don't know. Where's he at?
No comment.
Who knows where he is at? But back the bigger shows he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's in charge of your main visuals? Because you were saying you're doing
me. I do all
you
that
do
stuff.
all of that.
Yeah. I mean,
Are you collaborating with any artists?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly collaborating with artists, but in terms of like that's my background even before a band as a visual artist and a graphic designer and stuff like that. Like I edit some of the music videos for Christ's sake. Like I feel like all the visual you see is me art directing in the project, and that's why the band has such a sort of like unified kind of cohesive vision. It's not just like sort of like hiring random people or anything like that. It's like I'm at the center of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I was going to ask, because it does have consistency.
Yeah.
Your social media has consistency. Like the photo shoots all have a very particular look and feel, like the color scheme, everything about it.
Random factoid about that is all the reference for this album cycle's photo shoot, and a lot of the visuals actually was based on John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. I just stole reference from that.
Ah.
Yeah, so if you look at some Ghost of Mars sort of visuals, and then look at like our promotional image that's floating around this album cycle, it's just that vibe.
Interesting. What's a good like a fantasy tour package for you for this album? If you were to just pick anyone that you want,
like if I could go out with anyone, or if like I could put them together with me, like under me type of thing, because that's always hard,
Yeah, I mean,
because like I just want to go on that Rammstein Stadium tour.
Oh, man.
That to me is like, lock it up. If I do that, I'll be happy.
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Because
But
like we get along really well with those guys, and I just feel like we've done it before. I mean, we did New Year's Puerto Vallarta with them too. That was so much fun.
Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, we did 2 dates in 2019 New Year's in Puerto Vallarta, just us and Rammstein. It was like on the beach. It was crazy.
I should have gone to that. That's where my dad lives.
Yeah, that was such a blast. Yeah.
That's cool. So, okay, let's do bringing bands with you. Let's give some shine to some of the younger bands that you want to bring out, maybe showcase a little bit. Obviously,
Yeah.
not counting the show you're doing here with Tim Skold and those bands you mentioned.
Yeah, like younger bands. It's like honestly, I find this really hard to figure out.
There aren't a lot of bands doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, which is why it doesn't have to be that way. Like I think that like kind of bringing a variety of projects. I like bringing like some more electronic stuff, some more even heavier stuff. I think there's a band called Wrist Meets Razor that's pretty awesome right now. They're sort of like goth tinted, sort of like super heavy deathcore vibes, but like with some new metal vibe into it. It's cool. New metal's making a huge comeback, which is crazy.
Seriously, new metal and goth, like the whole goth vibe. There's even people outside of the culture that are in other pop things that are bringing in that goth vibe.
Yeah, no, it seems to be. I don't know what's causing it, but it's
the impending doom.
The impending doom is bringing us back to Y2K vibes again. I suppose.
Yeah, we all feel like it's all going to end pretty soon.
Yeah,
so.
it does. It does have that sort of ominous feeling these days.
Yeah. I mean, can I add you to my survival squad?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because we got a compound now.
Okay. Nice.
We're building out compounds. We've got weapons. We're looking at like task people too. Like we got a welder.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much a self-contained defense department.
Nice.
Between my truck and what's in it, but yes.
Yeah, your truck is nuts, by the way. The second I pulled up, I'm like, I can't believe that's him. That's him, isn't it? And then, yes, it was.
Yes, definitely.
So. To kind of pivot a little bit, we were talking about music, but now we're talking about doom. What do you feel about like the AI situation taking over pretty much everything? Writing, the strikes that are happening here. It's eventually going to take over music. I've already heard AI gent, and it sounds like gent.
Yeah.
So.
It was funny today. I have like a Google notification set, so it's like if if something mentions my band, then I usually just see it. And there was a thing called Songtell that I figured out what that was today. And essentially, it's AI interpreting song lyrics and writing meanings of songs. So one popped up for song Drift, which, fairly somewhat abstract concepts in there. And I read the meaning of it according to an AI. And I got to be honest, it's like so spot on in interpreting some of my lyrics that I think that was sort of a shocker for me, because I thought I was like very good at a few things, but I'm like, interpreting abstract artistic concepts, I didn't think it was one of them. It does that better than, most people trying to write, music journalists trying to go, oh, here's what the song means. So that was an eye opener to me. In terms of my overall sort of take on AI, I don't think it's going to end well. I think that
we've all seen Terminator.
Yeah, we've all seen it. It's at some point, all the what we imagine as humans, I think, becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. We don't have access to a future that we can't imagine. So unfortunately, our imagined future is
what we
not
aim.
Very utopian. I don't think there's a lot of utopian stories being told out there. I can't think of any. I think Star Trek was
Brave New World.
Vaguely, Brave New World was not utopian. It was very dystopian. He did write another book called The Island, which was sort of his utopian counterpart, which is an interesting read. Yeah. But I think Huxley was also aware of that. I think they call it hyperstition, this idea that what we collectively imagine is what ends up coming to pass. And I think that for all the dystopian video games and films and novels that we've sort of been ingesting into our collective subconscious for, I don't know, the past 30 years longer, is really starting to play out, which is why it does feel like we're sort of living in this like B movie version of like, a dystopia where you're like, it's not even original. Like, everything just feels like sort of stock at this point. So,
It's wild, dude. I don't know how I feel. I'm trying to not give a fuck about it anymore, because like you said, the more credit we give to it, the more we focus on it, the more it's going to happen. Yeah.
This is why I'm sort of in my dumb bitch phase right now, where I just want to drive a truck and shoot a gun and grill some food. Like, I don't really like thinking about this stuff too much. Yeah. But I do think that ultimately AI right now is in a stage where it kind of just feels like a party trick. Like, it's nothing that crazy for what they're providing like a consumer level for. I'm sure they have access to crazy shit that's happening in the back door, but like in terms of like, using
what's widely available.
Yeah, what's like widely available through like Midjourney or like, generative fill in fucking Adobe Photoshop Beta or Firefly or, Google Text Effects or, there's a lot of stuff out there that's fun and can actually be kind of handy as tools for artists to sort of curate imagery or ideas. But I do think that how fast this stuff accelerates, it's going to take a turn faster than we can really process. And I think that's something that like, we can barely understand. Everything moves so fast now, you can't really understand something while it's happening. You can only understand it after it's happened. So I think that like we're just going to always be behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
unless we start integrating, which is what Elon Musk wants to do.
Which is
with
why, the whole singularity.
Would you get the Neuralink?
Hell no, dude. Hell no. I don't even like having facial recognition on my phone. You know what I mean? Disable. I'll remember my passwords. Maybe not the Neuralink, but I'm ready to just remove my brain and put it into. We're pretty much already Neuralinked with our phones. You know what I mean? Like that's like low grade bionic connection already, where you're like, I can't remember any of this shit, but my phone can. You know what I mean? That's like basically we have our sort of like secondary computer brain in this sort of prosthetic digital nervous system already connecting to us. So
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to use it as a tool where I can get rid of certain information that I don't need occupying hard drive space in my brain. To allow for other projects to flourish and whatnot. Yes. Like, I don't need to know your phone number.
Yeah, you're like, I don't need to know my wife's prescription drugs anymore. Like, I need to know shit about wrestling.
Yeah, no, but no, it's true. It's like I'm trying to figure out how we can, because like you said, it can be a very useful tool. It's just I think like you said, we're not going to be able to keep up.
No, not at all.
At one point,
not it's just. And I think that like, there's a certain optimistic approach that the technologists like to sort of come with, like, well, the world's so complex that like AI will help solve like foreign policy issues in the future. And you go, will it? And they go, but it's going to help, figure out how to prevent global warming. And you go, is it? And then you go, well, the problem with the AI is the end of the day, someone created it, and someone who created it has a vested interest in something. So at the end of the day, there will be parameters always put upon stuff that you go, okay, well, who is the key bono? Who does it benefit? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just sort of too distrusting of any sort of beneficent technology out there.
It's concerning. It's not, you know.
And I also just think that the ultimate, like at the end of the day, money corrupts everything regardless. So it's like, you know, do I think that like pharmaceutical medicine is inherently bad? No, I think it's probably saved a lot of lives. Is the pharmaceutical industry completely corrupted by the fucking money that it basically, you know, is bigger than most fucking world economies? Absolutely. Do I think that's going to happen with AI? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and it won't even, like, it's not an issue of money, like dollars. It's not a specific currency. AI will figure out what is the reward system.
Yes.
Which for humans is money, but
yes.
Whatever AI needs is the incentive.
Yes, and incentives drive ideology, which is always a dangerous game.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about it, but ultimately, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah, I think like, you know, this idea of like, you know, like some Luddite trying to stop it, like, no, that train got no brakes. We're not stopping it. It's like you basically just go, all right, cool. Well, I guess we're just going to sit back with the popcorn and stock up on your green tip bullets, kids.
Yeah, we can't do Project Mayhem. No. We can't go blow up buildings and stop it in its tracks.
I don't think it's going to happen. No, the age of dissent is over.
Now, what about if the aliens come down here and help us out, like help us sort it out? Are we okay with that?
I don't know. At this point, like, I feel like I believed in aliens up until the government was like, aliens are real. And I'm like, fuck, that means aliens aren't real?
Well, you didn't believe the paper mache aliens that were shown on TV?
Yeah, those things look great.
I mean, look, here's the thing. I'm trying, you know, you try to play devil's advocate. Yes. And yes, the fact that the government is accepting it leads me to think it's not real. But I'm like, if you're going to fake an alien, wouldn't you do it a little bit better than that?
I mean, to be fair, that was like some people down in Mexico. I'm not sure it was our government that was doing that. But at the end of the day, I think so much of it is just like a squid just putting ink in the water to create misdirections and confusions and just sort of focus on other things. At my core, I still believe that there's some sort of extraterrestrial life out there. I think you have to. Otherwise, like, if you go, okay, in this gigantic infinite universe, we're the only living creatures, that means we're gods. And if we're gods, why are we working our fucking asses off to pay a T-Mobile bill? I feel like that's insane. Like, you have to go, okay, cool. There's other alien life forces living out dreary lives of desperation as well, and that's how you can justify how we live.
Yeah, you know? Those dreary live aliens are the ones that are here. I think those are the ones that got lost. And they're lost in the trash pile because we are a trash pile in space. Yes. If you guys haven't seen the satellite imagery of all the garbage floating around us, we are garbage.
Yeah, it'll be like the rings of Saturn eventually, but it'll just be like, instead of asteroid belts, it'll just be like, you know, Dodge darts that are like rusted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people are like, oh, you know, if aliens are real, why aren't they visiting us more regularly? I'm like,
have you seen us?
How often do you go to the hood and open your doors? Yeah. You don't. You see all the homeless tents and you run. You lock your doors, put the windows up, and keep driving till you're past the tents. Yeah. That's what's going on with us. We're the tents.
Maybe they used to talk to us.
Yeah, they might have, and then they saw how fucking we ruined everything. I don't know. All right, let's get back to not being so doom and gloom. Your tour is being shaped at this moment?
It is being shaped and fashioned and molded. It is sort of in a sort of like nebulous state, so it's hard to talk about right now as the dates are sort of being sort of pinned down in various corners and points, so stay tuned.
All right. But there is obviously the big show you've already announced in December.
The big show on Friday, December the 29th at the Terragram Ballroom in Los Angeles, California. Get the tickets. 70% sold out already, so probably be gone soon.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And then there's the Sick New World.
Sick New World, which is appropriately named after the previous conversations.
Yeah, we bring it back to everything's turning new metal and gothy.
Yep.
I'm not gonna go to that, but cool.
I you know, if you like being processed, it's already sold out, so I can say, you know, if you like being processed like cattle in the Vegas sun, you're gonna love it.
Dude,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it'll be great. It's year 2, by the way. I know these year 1. It was year 1 last year, which I heard had some hiccups.
Yeah.
But that's the inherent risk of going to a year 1 festival. So, like, you know, they iron that stuff out. It gets better and better. So.
Yeah, like, I'm not talking shit. We're not. I love the idea of putting all these bands that
500 bands in one day.
Yeah, makes logical sense. There's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Look,
We're just all on the same stage. It's like a We Are the World.
Yeah, everybody gets to do one song. Yeah, it's ambitious, and I appreciate the bands that they're bringing out, the bands that they're kind of like unearthing for this.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a cool lineup. In terms of how it's run, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you're watching this, just multiple days.
Maybe
honestly, a few less bands.
I have a feeling that they might add another day because it already sold out. It sold out in like a week, so
it just doesn't. As a fan, the idea. I think of the logistics of, all right, well, I need to watch one song from this band and then run through to the other stage to see like one song from that other band.
Or you just like stand in the middle of the two stages and like split your hearing on either side.
But there's got to be more than two stages. There's got to be at least there has to be at least 5 to fit all those bands.
Yeah, unless the band's like first band's on at 9:30 a.m.
Which wouldn't surprise me. Ozfest used to do that shit, making metal bands play at 10 a.m. Like who? What?
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't want to do anything at 9:30.
Dude, no one's gonna be there. No. It's going to be the sound guys and the crew that watching and the rest of the other bands watching you perform at the time. But it sounds like a fun time. If I wasn't such an old man, I'd probably go.
I think that's the other thing. I think we're old, and I think like the idea of something like that is like an old person is not great.
No, dude. And I hate being outside in the.
There were a line to the bathroom.
There's a line. You got to pee off to the side. The food, I'm sure, is expensive, and that's not on the festival. That's everywhere. Yeah. I just don't. I'm not at that point in my life anymore. I love shows, but even that, like, and I know that this is probably the most LA shit I've ever said, but like even shows, the idea of being in the pit or in the crowd.
No, you just sit in the back with your arms folded like, the rest of the 30-plus crowd.
Like just fucking sit back there by the soundboard. If I stand directly in the middle in front of the house, I'll get the perfect sound because that's how it's mixed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even side stage, like I've started to move away from that.
Sounds like shit.
Yeah, at first, when I first started getting into the world of like, I'm getting invited to be on stage. It's appealing.
It's cool for an Instagram photo. Like, I'm here. But in
dope.
terms of you actually want to hear the show, side stage sounds like shit.
Yeah, there's no in-ear monitors.
I mean, most stages now, because a lot of people running quiet stages, just because everyone's on in-ear monitors and stuff like that. Maybe someone's running wedges and amps and stuff like that, depending on the band. But, you're going to hear someone's very particular wedge mix in that stage. You're on the guitar side. You're going to hear a lot of guitar.
Yeah.
Not optimal.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit. Personal question: How are you finding yourself with the video game world? I used to play a lot more. I don't know if you have time.
Oh, yeah, no, I got a PS5 and I still game. I was gaming last night. I was playing. I thought it was actually super fun. I ended up playing till like 1 a.m, which I rarely do. But we were playing the Modern Warfare 2's like new Halloween.
Oh, the haunting.
The haunt. It was so fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
It was pissing me off though because I was trying to kill the butcher and people kept trying to kill me instead.
That's funny because you're like, dude, we're just trying to fight these aliens. What if we just join forces? But there's still dudes trying to kill you, which kind of feels like how it's going to turn out in the world. It doesn't matter how much of we're never going to unite. We'll still be fighting each other while fighting the other thing.
Yeah. Like, aliens are above us.
Yeah.
You die.
Yeah, for sure. Which it is. It's such a. I feel like Warzone is like a micro experiment for civilization in many ways, where it's maybe not the most gracious people playing video games these days.
I mean, boy, they had to implement AI technology to prevent people from yelling
from racial slurs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I love that the first reaction was anger. Like, how dare you tell me I can't say these things?
Totally.
This is the only place I can say the N-word.
Gaming is a safe space for a lot of people to just use whatever language they want. And now that it's being monitored by AI, I think a lot of people are pretty upset. But, I do think that Warzone is super fun. I think it's great.
Is there anything else you've been playing? I mean, you have a PS5, so you probably can't play Starfield.
No, I can't play Starfield yet. I don't know. They said it might come out eventually. Although I heard Starfield's pretty much of a snooze. You like it?
On.
I'm sure I like it. I like games like that.
I like space.
Yeah, I like space, and I like games where you can actually chill out a little bit while you're playing, as opposed to being you pick up a controller, you drop in, you're not like, oh, let me have a bite of my sandwich while I play. Like you're fucking glued in.
Yeah,
you
you can't blink in Call of Duty.
You don't blink for 3 hours in Call of Duty, and it probably hypes up your central nervous system. I like games that are kind of relaxing in that way.
For me, I spent hours playing that game doing nothing. would walk into a building and then just look around like, oh, I can take this clipboard. I'm going to take that and see what else happens. You know, and just
sounds awesome. I'm sure I'd love it. You know,
yeah, it's exploratory.
I was a big Skyrim fan. Played the shit.
So
out
yeah,
of that.
same vibe, same system. Fallout.
I think they do inventory systems well, which that's a big part of RPG nerd shit. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure I'd love it. It's a little disappointing that Microsoft bought Bethesda and now it's Xbox exclusive.
It's all that exclusivity bullshit, man. And I wish gaming on a computer was easier. Not that I don't know how to do it. I have a gaming PC and it's easy to do. It's just always something. There's always a driver.
I'm not nerdy enough to do that shit.
Like it's easy to nowadays. It's easy, but my issue is just the random shit. Like boop, hey, your sound driver needs updating.
I'm a Nintendo generation person. I still just like sitting on a couch and like playing the console and like playing a game. Where for me, my computer represents like work.
Yes.
So like I don't want to be like, oh, I worked out of my computer and now I'm gonna play video games on my computer. Like I like to be like, cool, close the fucking laptop and work on something else. Or play video games. But for me, I know everyone's PC master race. Like I get it. You're a virgin. It's all good. But like for me, I like playing on a console still.
Same, dude. I still have all my old consoles. I just like to just plug in and play. I don't have to worry about a driver update. If there's an update on the PlayStation or Xbox, it does it automatically.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't need to worry about it. But every time I play on my PC, or I try to, because it's not available on one of the systems, it's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare.
And I generally think that like PS5 in terms of like graphics, I think it looks awesome. Like I don't need it to look any better than that. Like I know there's people out there with like crazy ass graphics cards that you go like, dude, that looks awesome. I need
8K. Like your eyes can't even handle 8K right now. What are you talking about?
That being said, the new Unreal Engine looks fucking crazy.
I saw the 5.3 was the latest one I saw. Yeah, it looks real.
Yeah, gaming's about to get crazy. So
between that and like VR headsets getting better, the Ready Player One reality is starting to get closer and closer.
Yeah,
and closer.
It's definitely on the horizon, which I can't imagine that being good for anything. But for me, I like gaming. I think it's a fun escape. I think it's a nice sort of like way to sort of like, I don't know, get away from some of the bullshit. So as long as you don't do it too much, you can't like live your life on there. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I mean, I definitely spend more time than I should.
Yeah.
But
it's also really like, it's just a way for dudes to talk on the phone to each other. Do you know what I mean? You're like, yo, if it's a murder simulator, it's not gay. And you're like, I get it. You just want to hang out with your boys and talk for the 3 hours and stuff like
everybody
that.
get on Discord. Let's go.
Yeah. And like, I do like that, especially living out in the desert and stuff. And like, being able to keep in touch with your friends. And, sometimes it is just about like hanging out online, which I get that. It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. All right, so let's wrap things up for this. We're going to do another episode of our wrestling talk. We didn't want to burden you guys with that.
We're doing back-to-back pods
Back-to-back pods,
dude.
But Endex is out now. Go pick up the vinyl. It looks really cool. It's got the black smoke swirl, I believe.
We have one. If you go to Revolver magazine's website or whatever, there's one that has a 3D lenticular cover on it, which is a special edition. There's still some of those. There's like various editions of different colors. Get them while you can.
Speaking of Revolver, you're on the cover. Yeah.
Magazine, which is crazy to me.
Is that your first like?
That's my first like
big
on the cover
magazine
of magazine.
Cover?
You go, man, like wow, they made me not look like an idiot. This is great.
We're gonna frame it and put it in your hall.
Yeah, my mom is like beside herself. And she's like, oh my god, you're on a magazine.
You gotta get a bunch of copies and send it to your family.
I know. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely like you're like, wait, they still make magazines, but no, that was nice. That was I thank Revolver for that. That was definitely a cool honor for me.
So pick up the vinyl on Revolver, and then also pick up the magazine. So you have the package. Yeah. I'm sure they have a bundle.
They do have a bundle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So magazine cover, albums out, tours coming, Sick New World. Also the show here in Los Angeles at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Make sure to get tickets before they sell out.
Mm-hmm. And some TBD tour dates. Stay tuned.
There you go. Where do they follow? Where do you want them to follow?
3teeth.org.
3teeth.org.
O-R-G for the organ.
For the organs. And then for social medias at 3teeth everywhere.
Just 3teeth. The number 3 and teeth.
3teeth. That's how many teeth I have left.
Exactly.
Dude, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Of course. See you guys next week.